I've got a lovely pair of simultaneous equations for you. The first one, y equals 4x squared minus 5x plus 2. You'll notice is a quadratic, and it's also a quadratic where the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So we will have a great technique on how we're going to find the factors of that quadratic. And then the second, y equals 2x minus 1. Nice little linear equation. And we're going to solve these to find two solutions, so two coordinates for x and y. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Sally. I'm a fully qualified teacher and I'm the founder of Learn Page by Page. You'll hear from my accent. I am from the UK, but I do also teach a lot of international students, particularly those from the US. So don't worry, I will cover both terminology because we do have some different math and maths words. See here, there's one already. In the UK, we say maths. In the US, you say math. I hope you find the video really helpful. If you do, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe because that would really help the channel. If there's anything in particular you would like me to record, I'm more than happy. Pop a comment below. I'm working over the next few months on building up a library of content. Well, I'm more than happy to do something ahead of schedule. So let's dive in. First thing I always do with simultaneous equations is I label them. I always label them over the side, 1 and 2. Now with these equations, they both have been arranged, they both equal y. So y equals the first and y equals the second. That means what we can do is we can put them equal to each other because 4x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals 2x minus 1. So let's do that. So we're going to do equation 1 will equal equation 2. The 4x squared minus 5x plus 2, that will equal 2x minus 1. And then in the spirit of a quadratic equation, I want to get this 2x and this negative 1. I want to move both of those over to this side, and I'm going to have the whole equation equal 0 as we have a positive 2x and a negative 1. So positive 2x, if I subtract 2x, add positive 1 to both sides, add 2x, positive 1. And I always write my operation while I'm doing at the side of the equation. A couple of reasons really. Firstly, if I want to go over and check my work, see where I've might have made a mistake, then it's easy to figure out. But more importantly, if you're doing this in an exam, you know, there's method marks. They like to see what you've done. But I always find it's a good habit to retain. So what do we have? Well, we still have the 4x squared, negative 5x, that gives us negative 7x, and then positive 2 plus 1, that gives us positive 3. That all equals 0. So here we have a classic quadratic equation where the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. And what we need to try and do here is factorize, or you might call it factoring, depending where you are in the world. In the UK, we say factorize. I think in the US, you tend to say factoring. There's one of our classic differences. So when I factor a quadratic where the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1, what I do is I multiply the coefficient of x squared, the 4, by the number term there. So that would give me 4 multiplied by 3, give me 12. And that is my new number term. Just for now, only temporarily. So I rewrite the equation without the 4. So I rewrite it with x squared. I still keep the minus 7x. So I still keep the letter term in the middle. And I have a new number term, this one of 12. It's a positive 12. And now I go ahead and factorize that. So I'm now looking for two numbers that multiply to make positive 12. But they had to add to make negative 7. And as I have a negative here and a positive here, I know my two numbers are going to be negative because when it comes to the number term, whenever we factorize, that is the product of the two numbers in the bracket. And so a negative multiplied by a negative is going to make a positive. So what would my numbers be? Well, 1 times 12, they're the factors of 12, yes, but they won't add to make negative 7. Pop a line through that. Then I'll have 2 multiplied by 6. They can't make negative 7 either. And lastly, 3 multiplied by 4. And that's good. And as we need it to make negative 7, it's going to be negative 3 plus negative 4. That would give us our negative 7. Then open up a pair of double brackets and then start each bracket with 4x Don't worry, we will come back to simplify that, but we start each bracket with 4x, and then we're going to put in our -3 and our -4. For the first one, -3, and the second one, -4. Doesn't matter which way round you put them in. And then we're going to go ahead and simplify, and what we're looking for is a common factor in each bracket. So the first one, 4x and -3, do they share a common factor? No, they don't. So we leave that bracket. The second one, 4x and -4, they both share a common factor of 4. So we're going to divide that by 4 and that term by 4. And then we'll end up with, first bracket stays the same, 4x -3, and then the second bracket, that would be 4 divided by 4, so that's just 1, that would be x. And then -4 divided by 4 gives us -1. And now we can say that equals 0, because all we've done here is rewritten this in factor form. And from that, we can go ahead and find out what our x terms are. Let's move that up. And our first x term, well, that would be x equals, and you see this 4 here, we're going to bring it down and make it the denominator of this -3. So you bring that down here and that will go there. Then we will say x equals, the sign will be opposite. So we have a negative here, so it's going to be a positive. And so x equals 3/4. And then the other x, this one here, what would this need to be for this bracket to be 0? Because that's the whole process of when we identify what x is when we factorise. And for this bracket to be 0, x would have to be 1. But the quick shortcut is just to look at the -1 and then reverse the sign, and x equals 1. So there we are, we've identified x. Now we need to put these into one of these equations, either into equation 1 or equation 2. We're going to look for the easiest, and equation 2 is the easiest. And when we plug both of these values in, we will then get y. So we had x equals 3/4, and we had x equals 1. So we chose equation 2, that's y equals 2x minus 1. Let's do the first one, and that was when x equals 3/4. So then y equals 2. Wherever there's an x, I put a bracket and I put the 3/4 in the bracket. You might call them parentheses. Again, there's one of our other differences. Close your bracket, -1. And also in between the bracket and the number 2, there is an invisible multiplication sign. You will notice in my videos, I tend to use the multiplication sign rather than the central dot. It's more commonly used in the UK. So then we have 2 times 3/4, and that is 6/4 minus 1, which is the same as 6/4 minus 4/4. And so we end up with y equals 2/4, which simplifies to 1/2. So there's one of our y values. And then we've got the second one where we have x equals 1, y equals 2, bracket 1, minus 1, which equals 2 times 1 is 2, minus the 1, y equals 1. So our solutions, x equals 3/4 and y equals 1/2, and x equals 1 and y equals 1. And if you're doing this in an exam, you fully present your answers like this and you'll get the full method marks. Let's have a look at what that actually looks like on a graph. So I'm using Desmos here. It's a great online graphical calculator. I've been using it for years. I'm by no way affiliated with it. It's just one of those online apps that save me having to plot the graphs myself or pull out an actual physical graphical calculator. This is great. You can either use it just from like directly a web link, or this is the app that I've downloaded. Let's put in the first equation. That was 4x squared minus 5x plus 2. And then the second one was 2x minus 1. And there it is. Now let's zoom in. Okay, so what do we have? We had x equals 3/4 when y was 1/2. So here is y. There's our y-axis. This is our x-axis. So let's look for when y is 1/2. Well, there's 0.2. 0.4 is going to be about here, isn't it? So, perfect. And then x was 3/4. Okay, they haven't given it to us in the units we would like, but what we've got, 3/4 is going to be 0.75. So yeah, there's our first coordinate. And our second one, when x is 1, y is also 1. So go up to y is 1, come across here, and then down to when x is 1. So yeah, perfect. And that should be about everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.